Hi, I'm Alistair, the grumpy CIO. And what am I grumpy about this week? Myself, mostly, actually. I'm an embarrassment to myself. Well, exaggeration. Clearly, that's clickbait, and I'll tell you what I mean. But I am learning in public. And I'm learning the experience of what it feels like to build technical skills you already have. I love the fact that I got the AI to generate an image of me. I insisted it had the tattoos that I have. I insisted it made it have a little bit of pepper pot in the hair. Still made it far more good looking than me. Sorry about that. But anyway, I am actually learning it in public at the moment, and it's bloody hard. So, admitting my failings. So, at the moment, I have a need. I am managing an engineering team, as I've been doing for many years. And as I said on like post last week, I've been talking about I'm going to be out of the job. All the stuff is going to be completely redundant, and that's not unique to me. People across every form of support service, and IT, HR, finance, all of us, we are supporting things that come up. AI is hitting our jobs and moving out of the way. And what does it mean for me? I used to be able to sit as a manager. I've spent 2 decades sitting as a manager. I would sit on committees, I'd have spreadsheets, and I'd ask engineers to do things. I would have to learn as I was running an IT and how to do things maybe once. So I have once Dockerized a release once, and then I never had to do it again because I just sit there and manage things. So now I'm actually having to learn and move forward. It's pretty humiliating. It's awful. And my role implies I shouldn't have these gaps. It's hard to actually show this and talk about this with my team. I'm supposed to be omnipotent, right? I was giving some coaching to some of the seniors working for me, and one of the things I've talked about is that no, as the more you go up, there are things that you will always have people that know more than you across the board, and particularly as you become more senior in IT management, there will certainly be whole areas and whole parts of IT that you actually don't really know very much about at all, and that's fine. Yes, it is, but it's hard when it's yourself, isn't it? It's hard to actually admit that my own incompetence. It's hard to admit this journey that I've been on. So there's things I've had to go and learn and relearn. So VS Code fluency, Docker basics. As I said earlier, I have Dockerized something once, then I never did it again. So I'm having to go back again and just start again and refresh myself and remind myself how to do it. There's a whole lot of muscle memory things in VS Code. There's also a whole lot of things that have now become normal that just weren't there before. The way that MCP servers are actually included on VS Code was new to me, and in fact the training courses, it's changed so fast. The training courses I've been on over the last couple of weeks have now already become out of date. They're not moving through there. It also depends on industries. I was talking to a friend of mine who's in gaming, and talking about the fact that, for a lot of my people, IntelliSense appears to have been disappeared because people are using Copilot now, and he just laughed and said, I use IntelliSense loads because in gaming, unlike in other things, it is quite unique code. Copilot works when there is a vast amount of code that pretty much for everybody is, to be honest, exactly the same. The whole point of a game, a lot of it isn't. So Copilot's used for things like authentication modules within gaming, but it's not actually very useful for writing some of the unique gaming functions, and you have to actually write them. So that's pretty interesting. What I'm hazy that I was learning on. So, what actually is an MCP server? And now I'm learning why are there umpteen ways to build the bloody things? Again, maybe I should have learned this stuff. The problem for all of the things I've been involved with for the last few years is MCP server has always been a solution looking for a problem. I know that it's a real solution for a real problem for a lot of people, which is, giving something that an agent can use. But because of the lot of the world I've been in, the consumers of things I am using are themselves not ready to be agentic. It's just been sitting there waiting for a use case. So I never actually really got around to learning it very much as I should have done. But I need to know this stuff, and I've been getting up to speed. And part of it is like, should I even bother? Because we're all going to be vibe coding anyway, aren't we? And there's, I put this image up here as a clickbait that's been going around recently of the guy from Claude and Anthropic talking about vibe coding. But if you actually watch that presentation, I will put the link in this video link and also on my Substack. Actually, he's not vibe coding in a way I'm talking about it. He was talking about the very responsible way of using AI to do some parts of it. He talks about leaf versus nodes in the code, but particularly talks about human review. So I think I qualify as vibe coding as there is no human review. So even though he very dramatically talks about the fact that forget the code, he then goes back on himself because he's talking about remembering the code. So it's a little bit clickbait, I think, and so I do have to learn this stuff. Possibly in 5 years, 10 years, this will be completely redundant. But at the moment, I have to lean into it and anybody in my role, because otherwise I don't have a job. And maybe in 5 years, that will just be completely gone, and I'll be learning again. Okay. Can I be a good manager whilst admitting these failings? Well, the first thing is my staff ain't bloody stupid, are they? So everybody who's seen me and worked for me can know this stuff. But it isn't a new problem. Again, that clickbait video, it talks about it, but if you are the CEO, you'll always have a CFO who can run rings around you, but you are still responsible for it. And the CFO doesn't mind that you don't have all the ins and outs of your chartered accountancy. There are core civil engineering functions where the person running it may be dealing with something with a rail company. The lead civil engineer knows more about how actually stations should be built than the person selling the job, and then they themselves have to delegate things to specialists in shelters or something like that. So, and then there's how the CAD process works there. Across the board, it's not something to worry about. However, it's still really, does feel embarrassing. It does feel a problem. And it turns out I'm actually leading by example, because one of the things I've been asking for all the people going for me is to self-assess your own career. Say, I don't know, look for the training on the gaps. Don't just wait for someone to give it to you and be motivated to get stuck in. These are things we should all be doing. It's what I'm doing, so what I'm looking for. So the last thing is, like, where's my museum? I'm looking for a lot more hands-on time. I'm learning the open with my team, having the courage to actually say, I don't really know what I'm doing to the people working for me. Hopefully that's okay. They'll tell me, because they're very honest. But yeah, it is an exposed journey. I'm enjoying it, but it's also very, very harsh and humiliating. But coming back to it, I think it is absolutely necessary. I've been saying to my boss and saying to all the people I work with that, if I don't learn these skills, I am absolutely unemployed and unemployable in 2 years at the absolute most. But that's okay. There is training out there. Learn. I'm learning. I am motivated. Thank you very much. I'm the Grumpy CIO. I'll try and be less grumpy with myself. Got to be less hard on myself. This stuff is hard, but it's all learnable, and we can do it. So let's do it.